Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Lorena. I do mommy, lifestyle, and beauty videos. Today is going to be more mommy. I'm going to be talking about the parenting styles or beliefs my husband and I do not participate in, we do not subscribe to, we do not follow these ways of parenting. And of course I have to get all of my disclaimers out of the way. Just because you do the things that I talk about doesn't make you a bad parent. Just because I don't do the things I'm going to talk about doesn't make me a bad parent. I'm not saying that you have to believe in these things. I'm just sharing with you what my husband and I believe and how we are going to raise our family. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already. Give this video a big thumbs up. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram because I am still hosting my 12 days of Christmas giveaway. It's gonna go all the way up to December 12th, so be sure to go follow me on Instagram so you don't miss any free stuff. Let's just get straight into today's video. All right, so I have my handy dandy bullet journal. So I'm gonna start with a more controversial one, and I'll also end with a more controversial one. So the first parenting thing that we do not participate in is hitting our children. Living in Hawaii, that's a huge way of discipline. Like, everyone gets lickings, is what you call it, when you get hit, spanked. Yeah, people do it in all sorts of ways. You got the wooden spoon, you got the ruler, some people get the belt, some people just get the straight up backhands. And my parents did spank us growing up. And I honestly thought that that's how I was going to discipline when I had kids, because it worked for my parents. It only took a couple of times of us getting spanked to know that we don't want that. So my parents did the 1, 2, 3 method, you know, get over here, you don't listen. Okay, 1, 2, when you get to 3, that's when you get spankings. And as I had my son, I discovered that I don't want to hit him. Like, he got old enough where he was starting to be a little bit mischievous. He started to be more curious about things and not listening to what I was saying. And I literally thought, I could spank him right now. This is a time where, like, people spank their kids because they're not listening, or they're intentionally not stopping what they're doing, or whatever it is. But then I also thought, like, he's just learning boundaries. Like, he doesn't fully understand why I want him to stop. So I don't really want to spank him. So in the beginning, it wasn't like a strict no spanking. I was actually open to it, but it ended up being a strict no spanking because he's so young. And I know people, you know, have different opinions on this. But I just personally don't think that spanking is a great way to discipline your child. I don't think it's a great way to help them understand why what they did was wrong. I think it's just going to make them fear you, whether it's like a very conscious fear or it's a subconscious fear. There's not a lot of proof in studies that spanking or hitting your kids is beneficial to them, but there are a lot of studies that show that spanking and hitting your kids is detrimental to them. So that's just what my husband and I believe. We don't spank. We communicated that with everyone who is around Noah often, that no one spanks, no one pinches his hand, his butt, his cheek, his ear, no physical type of discipline. We don't want him to be afraid of the people who love and care for him, especially when he makes a mistake that he didn't mean to make. So the second thing that we do not subscribe to is no timeouts. So Noah, I'm thinking, is at that age where if he did something wrong, we could make him go sit in the corner, whatever, timeout spot. And our personal opinion on that is that it just is not that effective. A 1.5 or almost 2-year-old is not capable of sitting still in a corner for 5 minutes and processing and having self-reflection on what they did and why it was unacceptable and why they're now sitting in timeout. And when they come out of timeout, how their behavior has to be adjusted. They're not capable of that right now. And even if he was capable of it. I don't want to say you did something wrong, so go be by yourself and figure it out and don't come back until you've learned your lesson. I want to be the type of mom to process things through with their children. So that's what we do now. When Noah does something that he's not supposed to do, both my husband and I, either together or individually, will get down to be eye level with him and just speak to him like a person. Just tell him that what he did was not acceptable, and then kind of instead show him what he should have done. And this is gonna go hand in hand with like no yelling. We don't yell at him just because I don't think like there's a difference between raising your voice because he's like far and you say like Noah come here, and like you want him to come and he's further away so you have to like speak louder, but we don't like yell at him. Noah, what did you do? Why did you do that? What is going on? What is wrong with you? Like da 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 da. Like we don't say things like that. We don't say negative things like that. So for example, we were with my family and Noah had his little ball that he plays with, and he threw it to my brother, but that was like across, you know, over the table, and he spilt like wine and water and it splashed all over my brother-in-law. Oh, I still feel so bad about that. But like wine spilled all over the white tablecloth, right? And I'm so grateful that my mom and my brother did not like flip out, especially because that's how my parents used to react to us, or like my younger brother spilling things, because my younger brother would always spill things. But something that I've noticed now that I'm a parent is I don't think, and this is like obviously no shade to my parents, but I don't think they've ever said like, Austin, how come you're moving so fast? Like a genuine like, how come you're moving so fast? How come you spill something every night basically? You know, like it was never a why are you anxious? Now that he's an adult, it's like, oh yeah, I think you are very anxious, you know. But maybe if we discovered that as a child, we could have prevented all the spills or whatever it may be. But anyways, back to Noah. He spilled everything. No one flipped out or freaked out, but I just got up and went to go help. I got a towel and I said, oh my gosh, there's wine. It was wine, so I said wine, but I said, oh my gosh, look, there's wine spilled on the table. Let's clean it up together. I didn't say, oh my gosh, Noah, you spilled the wine. I didn't put that pressure on him. I didn't say, you spilt it. It's your fault. Why did you do that? Why are you throwing balls? You shouldn't be doing that. I didn't say any of those negative things because, one, you could already tell that he was about to cry. He knew that he did something that he wasn't supposed to do, so why are you gonna rub salt in that wound? For me personally, I'm not that kind of parent who wants to be like, yeah, see? Look what you did. Look what you did. That's a lot of what I hear when I go to Target and Walmart. Yeah, so we cleaned it up together, and after we cleaned it up, because we have to take care of the mess first, right? So we took care of the mess. We cleaned it up. I didn't use any negative language. I didn't use any blaming language. But once we were done cleaning, I grabbed him because he wasn't looking at me. So I picked him up. I had him look at me and I just told him, Noah, your ball is for playing on the ground. Food and drinks go on the table, not balls. Okay? Food and drinks only. So I told him what I wanted. I told him what I expected of him. I didn't use that time to cut him down. Noah, see, look what you did when you throw the ball. Balls do not go up there. Why did you do that? You know, even if you say it in a nice way, it's still negative and it's still condescending and it's still kind of talking down to them. You know, whether or not he did it on purpose, you need to correct that behavior. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to explain to him what I would have wanted instead. You hold on to your ball if you're gonna hold it at the dinner table. Balls do not belong on the table. Only food and drinks stay on the dinner table. But I was talking about timeout, so I don't know how I got all the way over there. But after that incident, I could have put him in timeout, right? I could have put him in timeout and said, you're gonna stay here because I could have even told him, you're gonna stay here because you spilt wine all over the table. And if I left him by himself, for me personally, I just don't think that that would have been a beneficial situation. I don't think he's gonna sit there and be like, oh, I spilt the wine on the table. I shouldn't throw the ball next time. He's just gonna sit there and feel really junk about himself. And no one is gonna be there to comfort him or whatever the case may be. And if, you know, and that's just my perspective. If you think that he shouldn't be comforted after he spilled something, then that's, you know, your way of parenting. But for me, I don't want him to sit in that guilt and sit in that shame. I want him to know that, okay, we don't do that. That is not acceptable, but we will do better next time. So I think to piggyback on top of everything that I just said, another little point that was kind of within those jumbled few points right there is that we do not freak out over something that's spilt or a mess or anything like that. Because if we say, you spilt milk, you dropped your plate on the ground, you did this, you did that, then you put the blame on the child. Versus if you say, oh my gosh, the milk spilled, oh my gosh, your food fell all over the ground, then the food on the ground and the spilt milk become the problem, and you can tackle that together as a team. Let's clean up the milk together. You do that as a team to solve the problem. Versus if you say, Noah, you spilt the milk, then Noah becomes the problem, but then what do you do about that? Then you just scold and you punish, which is not gonna solve the spilt milk problem. And then maybe next time they're gonna be anxious around their milk and they're gonna spill it again because they're anxious about spilling it. And it's just gonna be a vicious cycle. Maybe that's why Austin spilled something every single night at dinner. So this next parenting style that we do not subscribe to comes more from a Montessori approach, and that's that we don't force Noah to share. So I know that sounds weird because, you know, you have the Care Bears and sharing is caring and all this kind of stuff, but we don't force him to share because you have to think of both children in that situation, right? So one person is playing with a toy and another kid comes up and wants to play with that. Lots of times parents will say, okay, give that toy to that person because you need to share. Sharing is nice, sharing is kind, sharing is caring, whatever, right? But that teaches these two kids different things. That teaches this kid that they're entitled to someone else's thing even though they're playing with it. The child who's playing with the toy can play with that toy fully until they're completely done with it. And that's when that toy can move on to be played with by somebody else. One, I don't want an entitled child who assumes that every toy needs to be shared with them when they want that toy. No, you need to be patient, you need to respect someone's boundaries, and you need to respect that someone else is playing with that toy right now and you can get it when they're done. Obviously, he's gonna learn to share and he's going to learn how to, you know, be generous, but there's also gonna be boundaries. You don't have to just give someone a toy you're currently playing with because they said that they wanted it. That's not how life works. That's kind of like our perspective on sharing, is that, yeah, obviously if you have, you know, all your toys and someone comes over or whatever the case is, then you share, you let them play with your toys. You don't say, these are all my toys, you don't get to play with it. You don't get to monopolize all of your toys. But if you are playing with one activity, one toy, whatever the case is, you can work on that until you're completely done with it, and then that toy can move on, and vice versa. You can't just say, I want to play with that toy, and assume that that kid is gonna just hand it over to you because you decided that you wanted it in that moment. That's not the case. Yeah. Okay, the second to the last thing that we do not do is probably gonna be a little bit of a lengthy one too, but it's that we don't threaten food. We don't use food as a way to negotiate things, okay? We just use food as a sense of nutrients, as a sense of fuel for the body. This one is very multifaceted because there's so many meanings within this one topic. So the first one is that food is not bad. It's not chocolate is bad, cake is bad. We are very careful about the language that we use in front of Noah because he's listening. He's taking in these things whether or not we realize it. So things like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't eat this ice cream because it's so bad for me. something casual that people maybe say, right? But then he can think, he doesn't eat ice cream, but you know, when he gets older, or if he did eat ice cream, he could think, I eat ice cream, I like ice cream, does that make me bad? And that goes with everything. Oh my god, I cannot eat this burger, it's so fattening. He might think, oh my god, I'm eating a burger right now, or I like burgers, or I ate a burger yesterday, am I fat? Right? And there's so many different dimensions within that last one I just used, because we are a very fat phobic world, and that needs to change. And that needs, you know, that starts with our language. So when it comes to food, we try to be very careful about how we speak about it. You know, it's not, oh, this is good for me, this is bad for me. And then another thing regarding food is that we don't put dessert on a pedestal. We'd never say, you need to finish this to get dessert, or it's never, you have to eat all of your food before you can go play again. We never force him to eat anything that he doesn't want to eat. We really want him to listen to his body and kind of listen to his instincts and really tune in to see when his body says that he's full. We never want to force him to eat something or force him to not eat something. So basically, we choose what is served because we're the adults and we're the parents, and he chooses how much of that meal he eats. That's how we navigate food. We want to keep positive language around food. We don't want to restrict too much. We want to build a healthy relationship for Noah with food. We don't want him to, you know, think negatively about it, or think that if he eats certain foods or certain food groups that he is going to feel bad about himself or feel guilty that he ate this, and stuff like that. So it's not only how we parent him, but it's also how we speak about food to ourselves and how we think about ourselves. And so much of parenting is making sure that we are in the right mental space and make sure that we are healed from our own childhood traumas, because that's so important. If we're not, we're just going to pass them down to our children, and this vicious cycle is going to happen, and it's not good. We don't want that. So the last parenting thing that we do not follow, a more traditional route, is that we do not allow sleepovers. He has not and will not sleep over anyone's house right now. We're kind of going about this in stages. So right now it's just a hard no sleepovers at all. They're not necessary to our family, so I don't need him sleeping over anybody's house. That's just, I don't know how else to say it. It's just not necessary for us. He does not need to stay over anybody's house. I'm gonna do a whole dedicated video to this during Vlogmas, so like in the next week or so. But this is just what we want for our family and how we want to protect our son. So these are the things that we do not subscribe to, that we do not do, that we do not participate in, that we do not believe in. And again, this is not me saying that you need to believe these things, or if you do these things that I don't do, then you're a bad parent, or I'm a bad parent because I don't blah 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 blah. Not at all. Again, I am just sharing with you what my husband and I believe, especially because they are a little different. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already. Turn on post notifications. It's that bell right next to the subscribe button. Give this video a big thumbs up. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram so you don't miss any giveaways, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Love you. Bye.